through and do it. In this case, what are the same? The x's are the same. If the x's are the same, that means it's a what?
Horizontal.
It's a vertical line. So let's check it and see. Let's just draw a sketch of it. I'm waiting for my whiteboard.
Vertical is wrong.
Whiteboard. And click on that. So if you just sketch these 2 points, you see that it's a vertical line. So 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And these pins are going crazy for some reason today. I don't know why. So y'all just gonna have to do the best you can. 1, 2, and 1. And that's what the line looks like. But they want you to find the slope, so let's go ahead and find the slope. M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is equal to I'm about getting sick and tired of this place. I try to have technology. The daggum people don't even know how to set up the daggum stuff. Anyway, y sub 2 y sub 2 minus y sub 1. I don't know why it's doing this. I really don't.
Are you having a good day today?
No. Over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That's what's wrong with it. It's coming apart. Hold on a second.
Hope your day gets better.
Be quiet, Mr. Miyagi.
You know what? How come we can't? Okay.
Y'all can right now, but if somebody walks in, y'all need to cut it off and talk about how great a teacher I am and how good Polycom is.
You want us to lie for you?
Yes, please. All right.
What's in
Here
the
we go.
name?
Will they fix it?
So, we got x sub 2, or x. What?
Cute.
We may just cut class off today.
Hey, I'm down.
Oh, we got that test.
When?
Isn't that today or tomorrow?
Do a test review tomorrow, I think.
Test it.
There's a review test from it's based on the review paper.
X sub
You should just
1,
give us an alternative assignment.
x sub y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Plug and chug equals parentheses.
Oh, I got time to do it.
Oh, yeah, you do. You had 3 weeks to do it. You had to finish homework and you cast it off, so I'm sorry. Whoever was doing it.
Well, I didn't know about it. And
Yeah.
I'm leaving tonight.
You should have been working on it whether you knew about it or not. The test is just a formality. Everybody should be through with the homework.
I've got the
We've
homework done. I
had
didn't know
2
there
and a
was a
half,
test.
3 weeks. So whoever's moaning and complaining about the review test, that's just a formality after you finished your homework. Nobody sent me any questions except for Miss Billy and those questions yesterday. So what am I assuming about the class after 3 weeks if I've only got a handful of questions? That everybody else what? Knows it. So that's what you get for not sending questions. It's called communication. Parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. And what is y sub 2? Y sub 2 is 1. Y sub 1 is 2. X sub 2 is 2. And x of 1 is 2. That gives us a 0. Which means, and that's 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Which means undefined. And the slope of a vertical line is what? Undefined. You should know that from like Algebra 1. So we have no way of we know that the slope is undefined, so that means that you have a vertical line. So how do you write a vertical line? Well, when y is equal to a number, you have a horizontal line. When you have x is equal to a number, you have a what? A vertical line. So in this case, all these numbers right here are x is equal to what? 2. So in this case, x is equal to 2. And I don't know why you put a -2, but the answer is 2. Because take your highlighter out, and this is a test question because that's why I'm spending time on it. If you see these two, and you see 2 2's for the x's, and that means x is equal to 2. If you have 2 y's, that'll be 3, 4, and -2, 4. If you have 2 y's that are the same, then you have a what? You have a horizontal line, and that would be x is equal to 4. I'm sorry, y is equal to 4, and that would be a horizontal line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would be going this way. So you have in this case, you have a vertical line because the x's are equal. If the x's are equal, then you have a vertical line. If the y's are equal, you have a horizontal line. So, is this a test question? Yes. And I also did one where you didn't have a horizontal or vertical line. You had a line, and that's when you plug and chug and you get the point slope equation. So I've just shown you all 3 possibilities of this test or question on a test. You could have a horizontal line, you could have a vertical line, or you could have one that we went over Tuesday or Thursday last week or whatever. And it was, one that is at a diagonal, and you have to draw you have to find the equation of the line. Okay? So that's a good question. Make sure you know how to do that. Capiche?
Yes, sir. Caposh.
Let's see, that was that one. I'm going to delete that one. This is, hey there. This is 20/8. R4 20/8. And since I'm going over these questions today, I will give you, and thanks to Miss Billy, not thanks to, Jake or anybody, I'll extend your homework till tonight due to Miss Billy sending these in. Okay? So, you can thank Miss Billy, Jake.
I sent a question or 2 in.
Yeah, you did. You just sent one in Tuesday. You just didn't show up for class. All right. So this is a test question, and you have to do what I told you. So first of all, go ahead and find the slope. So M is the slope. It's already found. And you've got -7 and -5. -7 and -5. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. It's starting to piss me off. And of course, you go down to IT, and it's closed. You go down to, so.
You want to go get ours?
I'm just real, no, they can't help, because they don't know what's going on. The only reason the person down here knows what's going on is because I do this. So. They didn't even have Pendleton, they didn't even have y'all's board hooked up right.
I think the projector's dying. Is it starting to flicker?
No, I don't think it's the projector. I think it's the pen. Let's see if I can. No, it won't even let me use my finger.
So the battery's going dead.
No, I already checked the batteries. Started yesterday during classes. Okay, so it's kind of hard to concentrate when you dadgum. But like I say, 2050, we might get it down. All right, so y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. There's doing it again. What's happening is the battery on the inside of the pen is moving around. And I've taken my knife and I've already done what I could to try to press the spring, and that's what's happening. I think that'll work.
Stick tinfoil in the. What's it
I've
called?
already extended the spring with my knife. I've already pushed it.
Gotcha.
I've done all I can do. I need new styluses. That's what I need.
What if you
Which would
turn
be
your
easy
camera towards
because
the
nobody
board?
uses these projectors, so I can just go over to the next room. But somebody's in there right now. I'll just steal one. Okay, I'm sorry. M times x minus x of 1. There we go. So y minus parentheses is equal to parentheses times x minus parentheses. And now we just plug and chug. Y sub 1 is -5. M is 3. And x of 1 is -7. So y plus 5 is equal to 3x plus 21. Y is equal to 3x. And what's 21 minus 7?
14.
Sure. I'm sorry, 21 minus 5.
Oh, 21 minus
I was thinking 17.
be 16.
16. That's your answer. And of course, they ask you a question that nobody asked you. That'll be this one right here, I guess. Or simplified version, y plus 5 is equal to 3 times x plus 7. That would be right there, and then you just solve for y, and that's your answer. This is a test question. So far, I picked out 2 test questions. Some of those the other day were not test questions because, like you said, Jake, some of them were just not very good questions. And I think what's happening is they're giving us these questions, and you can tell that they're new because they don't have a help me solve this. And I think they're new. Okay, so let me go to the next question. What is that? Hello. Yeah, 137.
What?
Who? Was she supposed to come down here? Okay. I'm in 137. That'll be fine. Okay, bye-bye. Sorry. Why don't we just not have class today? All
You don't
right.
gotta tell me twice.
What'd you say?
I'm starting to pack up. Is that cool?
No, you're not. You need to dang on watch the videos. Okay, that's that one. And the last one to go over is I'm having to push the battery down while I'm writing. So my thumb's gonna give out in a minute. All right, so this is R259/15. Yep, this is a test question. I'm gonna let y'all do this. I'm gonna go up next door and see if I can steal a pen, okay?
I've never said nothing like this. I feel like.
No, I was up like that.
I'm going on a cruise right after class. I've got to go to the airport. Shoot me in the mouth. I don't want to take my laptop, but
I have to buy Wi-Fi too.
it's not cheap. So I'm going to bring some money, buy Wi-Fi, and then I'm gambling the whole time. Did you go on the cruise with his singer? I told him to give him $5 if he did that thing again to his chest.
Yeah, I thought you said you wanted. Let's see if this works better.
But you know, we gotta answer these questions as
Well,
well.
I thought we did that after class.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's see if this works better. We've got -3, so I'm going to use my blue marker. We've got -3 parentheses squared -2 times parentheses, that's it, -1. I'm going to put that in brackets. I guess that's what happens when you use things, they wear out. And that's, we don't use these styluses, so this is the only place that uses it. I'm sorry, I'm being bad.
Next door didn't have it?
What?
Next door didn't have
Yeah, that's where I got it. They don't use it. He was using whiteboard. Over H. Okay? So now I'm going to plug in what I need to plug in. Now this is 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. And then I'm going to take my magenta marker, and what am I going to plug into these two right here?
X squared and
No. What am I going to plug in?
S expectation.
Fx plus h. It clashes, but I'm sorry. All right, now you're back to 100% what? Algebra. So now you're going to take -3, you're going to cross it over with shortcut number 1, distribute the -2. And that's going to give us -3 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 2x minus 2h minus 1 minus 3x squared plus 2x plus 1 all over h. And now you're going to distribute this -3, and I'm going to, even though I haven't had any training yet, hold on a second. I don't know how long it took me to figure out how to do this. A long time, at least 2 or 3 semesters.
Isn't there supposed to be a negative in front of that
Probably.
3x squared
Let me
in the
see.
beginning, like in the original equation? In
Where?
the top, like in green.
Okay, thank you. I miswrote it. Thank you. Who was that?
Bailey. I'm at
Miss
Pendleton. Bailey.
Miss Bailey, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is that which campus did that come from? I wasn't watching.
Pendleton.
Pendleton. Oh my gosh! Wow. Pendleton, y'all actually do talk. Wow. Did you hear that, Jake?
Oh yeah, I was shocked.
Mr. Miyagi, did you hear that? They talk.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
She must be on drugs. That's probably what it is.
Probably.
Are you on that
they
good
gonna
good?
watch your back when you go out in the hallway because they're gonna beat you up for talking. All right, so here we go. We're gonna take -3x squared minus 6xh minus 6 or minus 3h squared minus 2x minus 2h minus 1 plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 1.
Is that a B?
I knew he was going to do that. I knew it.
Well, I mean, we've already got H's and X's.
Oh, whatever,
I'll go throw a B
Jake.
in there.
Negative 3 h squared. Is that okay for you, Jake?
Oh yeah, that looks much better.
Now, what's going to cancel? Let's take out our handy dandy red pen and the negative 3x. Now, Miss Bailey, was it Miss Bailey that said that a while ago?
Yeah.
We would have caught that in this line because what are the x terms supposed to do?
Cancel.
They're supposed to cancel. One person that I can barely hear. Okay? They're supposed to cancel. So I would have got down here and I would have said negative 3x, and then I would have had a negative 3x squared here, and then I would have said to myself, something's wrong. And then I would have found it eventually, hopefully, but thanks to Miss Bailey, she caught it before I did. So that cancels. What happens to the negative 2x's? Negative 2x. It cancels. And what happens to the 1? Now I want you to finish it. And this is a good thing because when we're going to go to the next section, which is chapter 1, and I've got a big old thing done, and we're going to use this to find the slope of the equation, okay, of the tangent line. So rewrite that last thing, and you're going to get negative 6x h. Now wait a minute, I got to use my training here. Got to do it again. I'm glad
So
I've
the
had
ones
training.
cancel out, even if one's negative, one's positive.
Hold on. I'm trying to do something right now, Jake. Can I be in charge for a while?
So,
All right. Negative 6xh minus 3h squared minus 2h over h. Now, what was your question, Jake?
the one's minus 1, one's plus 1. They still cancel out.
What's negative 1 plus 1?
0.
Yeah, they cancel out, Jake. Jake, are you on drugs?
No, I had a blonde moment.
Mm.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Who's offended? Is anybody offended? Okay. So here we go. We're going to take that h, and we're going to pull it out. And that's going to give us negative 6x minus 3h minus 2 over h. And then what happens to the h's?
They cancel.
They cancel, and you're left with the answer. Negative 6x minus 3h minus 2. Now this is a great place, and you got 3 questions on the test like this. 3. So, and how many have we done? Somebody look in your notes. How many times have we done this problem?
Pretty sure we've done like 5.
I think we've done it 4 or 5 times. So each one of you has the video on YouTube showing me going over it 4 or 5 times. And each one of you should have the notes that have me going over this 4 or 5 times. So there is no excuse for not knowing this on the test. Now, I'm going to take off of this for today's lesson, okay? Because we've done the other problems. And I don't really worry about those other problems because they're not going to be on the test for right now. What I want to do is I want to go to my handy-dandy whiteboard. Let me go to my handy-dandy whiteboard if I can get there. And I want you to write down the following. Write down those 2 graphs. Now, I kind of went in this the other day with y'all. I kind of went into it, and I went into it briefly, but I would like for you to draw those 2 down, and I want you to find the slope of the one in red on the left. I want you to find that slope, And then I want you to find the slope on the one on the right. Take a minute and do those. Now I'll give you the points if you can't read the points. Points on this first point is 2, 4. And on this point, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, which is parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. Which way do we read? So this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1, this is x sub 2, this is y sub 2. So what goes in the first set of parentheses? 9 minus 4 over 9 minus 2. So 9 minus 4 is what? 5 over 7. That is our slope. We just use 100% algebra to find the slope of that line. Questions? Now, this is where we get into the algebra plus limits. And algebra plus limits is called calculus. Now, before we get to that, I just want to show you, well, go ahead and find the slope of that line, the red line. Go ahead and find the slope of that red line. The first thing people are going to say is, there ain't any numbers there. No, I want you to plug and chug delta y over delta x. I don't want you to, I don't want a number. I want you to plug the variables in. Here is the formula for the slope. I want you to take that formula with your parentheses that I tell you to use, which several of y'all still will not use. And I want you to take those parentheses, you might have to make them a little bit bigger, and I want you to plug in these 4 points into those parentheses and see what you get. So technically, this point on this blue point right here, somebody give me the x and y coordinate for it, and I'll do that in green. So give me this point. What is this point right here?
X of 1, comma,
X
F of X.
and what? F of what?
F of X.
X. And somebody tell me what this point is.
X
Oh, that's
plus
when
H.
everybody goes stupid on me, huh?
X plus H.
X plus H. And what? Comma? F of X plus H. Now I want you to give me the slope. I've got to rewrite my, so let me take my handy dandy eraser. Really, I need training on this thing. One day I'll be praying. There we go. All right, I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, what's y sub 2? We read from left to right, x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So what goes first?
F of x plus h.
F of x plus h minus what?
F of x.
Over x plus h minus what? And what happens to the x's on the bottom? Somebody tell me what we have. We've got the difference quotient. F of x plus h minus f of x over h. So somebody tell me what a fancy word like the difference quotient gives us. It gives us what? What is in?
Slope.
Slope.
So that's all the difference quotient gives us. Now, how do we get the tangent line? The tangent line is when you take this h, because this right here is called h. The red line is called h. Some people call it d for distance. X plus d, okay? But most of the time it's called h. What happens using the squeeze theorem of calculus? Write that down and you can impress your friends. The squeeze theorem of calculus says that if you take, I'm going to use another color, let's use magenta. If you take that h and you decrease that h to 0, what will happen to the y?
It decreases
It will
too.
also shrink to 0. That's called the squeeze theorem. So I'm going to drop it down to here. And there's my line. I'm going to drop it down to here. There's my line. I'm going to drop it down to here. And there's my line. And when I get it to a hair's width beside that blue one, and I'm talking take a hair's width and divide it into 100. You got to think out of the box. Then I have just made my secant line, which is the red line, turn into what? Tangent line, which I'm going to take my handy dandy burnt orange, and I'm going to draw a line, and I've just made that secant line into the orange tangent line. Now, I don't know if this book goes through it or not. We haven't checked it. But the limit theory says the limit as h approaches 0. That's the limit theory. And I told you this the other day. If you take half of the previous step toward the wall, if one step is 4 foot, and you take half of 4 foot is 2 foot, and half of 2 foot is 1 foot, and half of 1 foot is a half a foot, and half of a foot is a quarter of a foot, and so on, will you ever reach the wall? No. So that is basically so long, for the last 2 or 3 years, you've been studying this. Okay? Now you got to think out of the box, and you've got to say, okay, I'll take half of 4. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 1 is 1/2. Half of 1/2 is what? 1/4. Half of 1/4 is 1/8. Half of 1/8 is 1/16. Half of 1/16 is 1/32. Half of 1/32 is 1/64. Half of 1/64 is 1/128. I will never reach the wall. Will I get within a 100th of a hair's width to the wall? Yes, but I never will what? I never will reach the wall. And that's the limit theory that you have to apply to your slope so you can get this orange line. Now, as I showed you last week, you can take this same application and you can apply it with a curve. Well, I'm getting there. Hold on a second. There we go. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. No comments, please. Take my handy dandy GeoSketch, and there is what you see in animation. Okay, because the tangent line is right there. Does everybody see what's going on? So, all the years that you've been studying algebra, it's just algebra. I don't know, I have to look, but we may be going over a little bit of limit theory. Has anybody looked at the outline on the chapter 1? Is there anything with limits, or does it go strictly into derivatives? Somebody look on your outline. Everybody should have it in your notebook for the one person that did it.
Point 1 is limits.
Okay, so we are going to talk about limits. So right now, what the green line is doing is what we're going to be talking about in chapter 1, because we just went over the review chapter. So the part that you know how to do is the algebra. Now we're going to put in the green function. We're going to put that in. And I'm taking half of a half of a half of a half of a step, and I'm basically getting, and you got to keep thinking, take your hair and divide it into 100 and take one of those strands, and that's how close you're getting that green dot to that blue dot. And that's what you're finding. Now, with that, and we're going to be applying the same kind of theory with the integration. This is called derivative. But the derivative of calculus gives us, let me go ahead and do this. The derivative of calculus, it depends on what application. The derivative of calculus in engineering gives us the tangent line. And once you find the tangent line, you can find the normal vector. Now, some of you might be like, I don't really care about the normal vector. Yeah, but if you're studying physics, dynamics, or thermodynamics, you care a lot about the normal vector, because the normal vector and the tangent and the normal vector leads to the velocity and acceleration. Everybody with me? Now, in a business aspect, you're talking about finding the tangent. And the tangent, well, you're also talking about finding the intersection. We're going to talk about that too. The intersection and the tangent, that will give us the cost revenue, and that'll give us some more definitions in the economics when we get into chapters 3 and 4. All right? So you got two different contexts, two different meanings for the tangent line. So y'all look at that another 5 or 10 seconds. So Jake, you got it?
Of course.
Mr. Miyagi, you got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So how do we do the limit theory? Well, there's several ways you could do the limit theory. And you've got to also remember one thing when you're talking about the limit theory. You're not just going to have an easy problem that you say, oh, that's easy. No, it don't work that way. First of all, let me give you one of these. What if I give you the limit as x approaches 0, and I give you, no, let me do this, x approaches 4. Now, I don't know how much of you have had this, so I'm just giving you a little bit of an intro right now, and we'll go into it probably Tuesday, because y'all still got the review section to finish up tonight and the review test. When's the review test due? The 24th, which is when? I don't know what today is.
Yeah, it's Friday.
It's Friday, so it's due Friday. So y'all got to finish that up. But if I give you x squared minus 16 over x minus 4. The first thing you're going to say is, oh, that's undefined because you can't have 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, and 0 gives you an undefined function, so it's undefined. No, it doesn't work that way. If you have one like this, one of the main rules of limits, number one rule of limits is always what? Okay, you don't know. Always what?
Factor.
Always factor. Can I factor the top? Are you checking on the phone with your Google or what? I'm talking to Pendleton. Pendleton, are you checking on your phone for Google or what?
Oh, I was just looking at the time.
I'll tell you what time it is. What time is it? I'm just kidding.
10:37.
Always factor. All right? Always factor. What can I factor in this problem? Shortcut number 3 on the top. X plus 4, x minus 4. Over x minus 4. And what happens to the x minus 4s? With your handy dandy red pen, what happens to the x minus 4s?
They cancel out.
So now you take limit as x approaches 4 of x plus 4, and what do we get? 8. Now, there's 3 types of questions you're going to get with limits. First type. The first type is just going to be plug and chug. This was not a plug and chug because you have to factor. Usually a good indicator of a plug and chug problem is if you plug in a number and you get something undefined. Everybody with me? If you get something undefined, then you're going to have to do more. All right? So number 2, factor.
I thought that was number 1.
No. Number 1 is just plug and chug. I'll show you number 1 right now. Plug a limit as x approaches 2 of x minus 3. So what's the answer?
-1.
-1. That's just a plug and chug. That's the number 1. This is a number 2. What tells you it's a number 2?
Factoring.
The x minus 4 on the bottom, if you plugged in 4, if you followed number 1, what would it give you? An undefined function. An undefined is not good enough. You're going to have to go further. So that's when it tells you that you have to factor. And number 3 is continuity and discontinuity. We're not going to get into that too much because that's more of an engineering discontinuity. We'll get into that just a little bit. We're not going to get into it a lot. Okay? Now, Pendleton, raise your hand. How many of you have done limits before? I see y'all raise y'all's hands about like y'all talk. Okay?
There's like 3 on the other side.
Okay, so we got 2 or 3. How about easily? I can't see, but Jake, I can't see all y'all, so we got 2 up there.
There we go.
And Mr. Miyagi, you've seen limits before?
Yes, sir.
Where have you
I
seen
meant,
it? High
yeah.
school, pre-cal?
Yeah, it was pre-cal last semester.
Okay. So, are you familiar with the 3 that I'm talking about?
For the most part.
Okay. So, we got about 7 or 8 students up there at Pendleton, about 3 or 4 students at Easley, and nobody at Oconee. So y'all are special. What do y'all call yourselves? Gifted and talented? Are y'all gifted and talented up there in Oconee?
I guess, but I wasn't in it.
Okay, so let's do another one. Let's try another one right quick. Because I want to give you enough to go on, at least if you start some of chapter 1. And some of them are real simple. Let's go with limit as x approaches 5. I've got to make one up in my head right quick. X minus 5 over x squared minus 2x minus 15. Try that one. I hope that works. Well, that's not a shortcut. Somebody tell me why it's not a shortcut. What number tells you it's not a shortcut? The 15, Hubert. That's right, class. Good job. 15 tells us 15 is not a perfect what? It's not a perfect square, so we've got to use the reverse what? FOIL. I do not pronounce any word with OIL in it. So reverse FOIL, that gives us an X, and a 3, and a 5. This tells us that the 5 has to be what? Negative. This tells us like or unlike? Unlike. Thank you, class. Over x minus 5. And what happens to our x minus 5s? And that leaves us with limit as x approaches 5 of x plus 3. And again, I can't believe I've got the same answer that I got in the previous one. I'll never do that again. 8. So what does that mean? Well, let's graph. Well, if you graph this function, go ahead and graph it on your calculator. So that means I got to pull up my calculator. And some of y'all are on the calculator drill team. Y'all can have it done in a few seconds. So go ahead and pull your calculators out. Jake, were you on the calculator drill team in high school?
Lord, no. I don't own a calculator.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
I was there when
spell
math
mom
was
backwards and
invented.
make change, right?
Right.
So here
I
we
was there
go.
when
Somebody
math was
tell me what it
invented.
is. Well, I'll go ahead and pull it up again so y'all can see it. I want to show y'all. I want to impress y'all with my training. And pull up the calculator. One day we're going to get training on these things. So I'm going to get y is equal, and we're going to hit the parentheses, x squared minus 2x. I hate the TI-84. The TI-83 makes this a whole lot easier. Damn Russians. Minus 2x. Mr. Miyagi, you ain't Russian, are you?
No.
You don't think so? Jake, are you Russian?
I am. My
You
parents are
offended?
spies.
What?
But I'm pretty sure the whites sent my other half on the Trail of Tears, so, like, that's alright.
You are terrible, Mr. Miyagi. X minus 5.
Come on, Asian Jake. You can't say that.
X minus 5.
It'll be alright.
And enter. And there it is. Now, what's going to happen here is you have a vertical asymptote at x minus 5. All right? But it doesn't show it. Now, if you really get it up close, and we're going to do that here, I'm going to do the window. Where's the window? I don't use window much. There it is. And I'm going to go for my negative value, I'm going to put -1. And for my positive value, I'm going to put 6. For my negative value on the y, I'm going to put -1 and 6. And then I'm going to graph. All right? And, well, that's not going to work. I got to go higher on my y. So hit window, go to, let's see, let's try on my y, go to, I did 6, let's go to 15. There we go. So what do I need to put at, I can't put a vertical asymptote because it's a straight line. So what do I do? Well, at 5, what does 5 give us? 5 gives us an undefined function, but we can't use a vertical asymptote because we're dealing with limits. So when you're dealing with limits, you don't put a vertical asymptote, you put an open what? An open circle right there. Write that down. Now we're going to be dealing with open circles instead of a vertical asymptote, especially on a linear function. All right? So now what? So now you check the window. Check the, is it the window? Not the window, the table. Somebody check your table and tell me what you get at x is equal to -5. So I'm going to pull up my table. And when I pull up my table, I'm going to go to -5. And what is it going to give you? Y'all settle down, Pendleton. Should give you an undefined function. So I'm going to go to second table and look at -5, or I'm sorry, +5. Did I say -5?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, 5. That gives us a what? If you're from around here, it's called an error, ERR. If you're not from around here, it's what? Error.
Error.
Powdersville. Greenville.
Okay.
Clemson. You got to pronounce Clemson with a Z, because if you don't, you're a dumb racist Southerner. Okay? Question. Great. Complaint. Communication, Pendleton. Can you give me a little bit?
We're good.
Oh, we got a nod. Okay. Thank you, Tupac. All right.
They just don't like you.
They don't. They don't like me. And you know, it's not just them. It's every single one of the Pendleton campus is winged on a pickle. Every single one of them.
But Mr. Miyagi was supposed to be on Pendleton campus.
Yeah, so you and Jake would destroy that class. Y'all would
Dude,
give
we
it
need to go over there next
personality.
week.
Huh? Maybe you ought to
Hey,
go up there and
Mr.
take him
Miyagi
some biscuits.
Hey, I'm not rich.
I work at Ingles. What do you think I make?
Work at Ingles. Okay.
Yeah. I work for the city of Pickens, bro. I get $1 a day and all the water I can drink.
All right, guys. I'm gonna give y'all 2 surprises. One, I'm gonna extend your homework for tonight. And 2, your review homework. And 2, I'm gonna let y'all go early today. I don't even know what time it is, so